Hello folks, welcome back to another Wolf Tunes video. Sorry it's been so long, it's been like 15 days since the last upload. I mean, people were going crazy, people were throwing rocks in my window, protesting in the streets. No Wolf Tunes video for like 2 weeks. Crazy times we're living in. I had to deliver, I know you guys miss me. So, I have an interesting video idea here. Overrated, underrated, or properly rated with popular albums. I mean, we all have that one album that, like, people love and glaze all the time, but we secretly think is kind of overrated. You know, I don't see the hype. And then there's also so many underrated albums out there. So, this should be pretty interesting. It could get controversial, could get a little spicy in here, but, let's stop yapping. Let's get to trapping. Here we go.
I want to meet your madre.
First album we have is Utopia by Travis Scott. Put me in a maid outfit and call me a good boy if I'm wrong, but I feel like this album is top 2 Travis. Look, obviously Rodeo's number 1, but I feel like Utopia is right at number 2. I feel like it's better than Astro World. I feel like it's better than Birds in the Trap. You know, overall, I feel like Utopia is underrated, actually. Yes, from such a mainstream, popular rapper like Travis Scott, I feel like Utopia is actually kind of underrated. And upon first listen, like, I remember I wasn't even that crazy about it at first, but it has just stayed in my rotation for like going on 3 years now. I feel like it's one of the best psychedelic hip-hop albums of the decade so far. It has a lot of hits. It has underrated songs. Utopia, underrated album, weirdly enough. The next album is Yeezus by Kanye West. I'm going to get it off the bat. I think it's overrated. This might be because I hold Kanye to such a high pedigree. I think he's, one of the best to ever do it rap-wise. So, I'm going to hold him to a high standard, and I think this album gets a little more praise than it really should deserve. I don't think it's a top 5 Kanye album at all. This is a short album. There's only like 10 songs. I think Kanye goes like 4 for 10, maybe even like 3 for 10. The first 2 tracks, really set it off to be like a good album, and then it just kind of falls off the rails from there, and then Bound to end it is a really good song. But other than that, nothing too special. I don't think it's a bad album per se, but I think the hype it gets is a little overboard. Overrated for Yeezus. Now we have the Blue album by Weezer. There's always this big debate on what's better, Pinkerton or the Blue album, and for a long time I was like, oh yeah, Pinkerton is better. It was just my personal opinion, but upon re-listening to both of them, I actually think the Blue album is better than Pinkerton, and I think it's just way more iconic, and I think there's way more standout tracks on the Blue album, but it's kind of subjective. I think Pinkerton's great, but I think the Blue album is just a little bit better, but it's pretty close. And I think the Blue album is properly rated, even though, it is really popular. The album cover itself is used all the time, referenced in like pop culture and memes and stuff like that. I think the Blue album is properly rated for how popular it is. Now we have Echoes of Silence by The Weeknd. I think this album is underrated. I know The Weeknd is obviously like one of the most popular artists in the world, so, saying that he has an underrated album is a little weird, but this album doesn't really see as much limelight compared to a lot of his other projects, and I think this is probably my favorite The Weeknd album, either this or Starboy or Don FM, but honestly, I feel like Echoes of Silence was The Weeknd's most interesting album. The production is insane, very good production, very great vocals. Overall, I think Abel went 9 for 9 on this, and I find myself coming back to this album like 10 years later, probably longer than that, but just a great project. The vocals great. I mentioned that the Michael Jackson cover was awesome. Abel was pretty spot on with this album. He really nailed it. But I think it's underrated because it didn't get nearly as much commercial success as some of the other albums that The Weeknd has put out. Now we have Whole Lotta Red by Playboi Carti. I think this album is properly rated in the sense that I think it deserved all the hype that it got. Don't get me wrong, the lyricism is kind of bottom of the barrel, and the album itself is a little bloated. There are some misses definitely in this album, but overall, I think the highlights outshine the lowlights, and it's just one of the most intriguing albums of the 2020s so far. This album was very influential, very fun, intriguing. Overall, I think it's a properly rated album. I don't think it's a great album. I think it's like a 7 out of 10, but I don't think it deserves like any hate. I don't agree with people calling it overrated or anything. Music, on the other hand, that might be a little bit different, but a whole lot of red, I think it's properly rated. The next one we have is Ziggy's Stardust by David Bowie, and I think it's overrated. While I do like the album, I don't think it's his best work, but people hype it up like it's his best work. But I'm more of a fan of like the groovier, more like, I guess, linear stuff, like Station to Station and Low and Heroes, that type of stuff. I've just really never really caught on with this album as much as other people do. Next album we have is Brat by Charli XCX. The amount of love this album got when it first dropped was a little bit crazy. I mean, you had Fantano giving it a 10 and everything. So you're expecting me to say that it's overrated? No, I think it's actually properly rated. It was easily the best electric hyper pop album of 2024, and it was just pretty iconic. It had its own aesthetic around it. The production was insane on pretty much every song, and yeah, I think Brat is just properly rated. Now, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 or anything. I think it's like an 8.5, maybe a 9, but people calling it overrated, I just don't see it. It's such a fun album. This next album is a little bit different. We've been talking about classics, widely loved or debated albums this whole video. But lastly, I have one that I kind of just wanted to throw in, and it's Jackman by Jack Harlow. I wouldn't have any other opportunity to talk about this album, so I thought I would just do it now. I think it's underrated. Easily Jack Harlow's best work. This album I feel like just slid under the radar, even though I think it is a good album. It is like a 7 or 8 out of 10. It is easily Jack Harlow's most like raw and emotional, introspective work. I think he has his best rapping here with smooth flows. They Don't Love It is a song that stands out for me when talking about this. You actually sense that aggression in Jack Harlow, something that was kind of missing in his previous work. Denver, you get some of his best songwriting, some of his most down-to-earth lyricism, and I think this album overall is one of the more underrated albums of the 2020s. I don't think it's a classic by any means or anything, but I think it flew under a lot of people's radar. People kind of look at Jack Harlow as like a gimmicky rapper who only makes songs for the radio, but then he makes an album like this, and then nobody mentions it or pays attention to it. I don't know, I think it's underrated.
This is my son. He came from these nuts.
Well, that's about it for the video, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed. Comment down below. Did you agree with my takes? Did you disagree with my takes? Leave it all in the comment section down below. Thanks for tuning in. As always, love you.